would like to announce that we have set up a Bring Mollie Tibbetts Home Safe Reward Fund at First State Bank here in Brooklyn, Iowa. We've believed that Mollie is still alive, and if someone has abducted her, we are pleading with you to please release her. Those were the words Mollie Tibbetts' mother said through her tears. A little girl suddenly vanished in the middle of the day, right on the road she usually walked every afternoon. Nobody saw or heard anything, and there was no cry for help. In the blink of an eye, the small town of Brooklyn, Iowa, was filled with a fear that had never been seen in this peaceful farmland. On July 18, 2018, Mollie Tibbetts, a 20-year-old University of Iowa student, did not come back from her planned jog. From that point on, a lot of hard questions came up. Who saw her last? What took place? And will she ever be able to come back? Before we jump into the full story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more true crime content, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new case. Also, drop a comment below and tell me which country you're watching from. It's always incredible to see how far these stories travel. Now, let's get into it. As she always did, Mollie Tibbetts left her boyfriend's house in Brooklyn, Iowa in the evening of July 18, 2018, to go running around the small neighborhood. It was very hot outside. No one in the small town knew that something terrible was going to happen because the sky was clear. Mollie was running along the quiet roads that were surrounded by cornfields that went on forever. She was wearing shorts and headphones. At the same time, a 24-year-old guy named Bahena Rivera drove through the area. Rivera lived close by and worked at a nearby farm. He stopped his car on the side of the road when he saw Mollie. Rivera got out of the car and walked in the direction she was running. In later testimony, Rivera said that he went up to Mollie and tried to start a talk. She told him to go away and said she would call the police. Rivera said that he lost control of his actions and became scared at that very moment. What did you do next? Rivera himself could not give a clear description, but he did say that he struck and killed Mollie. No one was there to see it. There were no cameras around. It all took place on a road by itself, in the middle of empty fields. Rivera later said that he had put Mollie's body in his car and hidden it a few miles away in a cornfield. Mollie did not come home when it got dark. When she didn't answer the phone or show up for work, her family and friends started to worry. At this point, no one knew that a terrible accident had happened in the middle of a town that seemed to be at peace. As the first light of dawn crept across the familiar cornfields the next morning, Mollie Tibbetts' family and friends knew something wasn't right. The careful young woman had been quiet all night. She had always been on time. Mollie hadn't come in for her shift. She also hadn't called or texted anyone. The first person to notice something was wrong was Mollie's lover. He quickly asked family and friends for help, but no one knew anything. Fear turned into panic very quickly, and someone called the cops in an emergency. After just a few hours, the police arrived and started their search in a small town where everyone knew each other. The fact that a young woman went missing during the day was shocking. The police asked Mollie's family for information and looked at security cameras at gas stations, intersections, and on the routes she often took. No one had seen or heard anything strange, which was scary. There were no screams, fight signs, or accounts of strange people being suspicious. Even more trouble was caused by the silence. The police quickly narrowed down the running route and got hundreds of people to help with a large-scale search. There was a small chance that Mollie might have been hurt and still have a chance to live. So dense cornfields and small trails were carefully searched. Even so, hope was fading. She didn't leave any clothes or other physical signs behind, and neither her phone nor her sports watch sent a signal. The police had to look into all of the possible explanations. She left on her own. There was an accident. Or worst of all, she was abducted or killed. The first scene didn't give us any clear hints. It seemed like Mollie had disappeared into thin air because there was nothing there. At the same time, fear spread through the neighborhood. The news outlets started to report. There were posters of Mollie all over the place. A lot of people prayed on social media, But deep down, a lot of people started to worry that something terrible had really happened. Right. Good morning. Mollie's father now saying that her disappearance may be the result of a misguided relationship, but offering no evidence to back up that theory. Her family, desperate for answers after weeks of searches and interviews, have turned up empty. There were hints of what might be going on, but they were only small pieces, and fear had turned to hopelessness. Mollie Tibbetts' body was found in a rural cornfield in Powys County on August 21, 2018, after being looked for more than a month. The scene was empty, with only tall corn rows and a thin layer of leaves covering the body, which made it look like the hiding was done quickly and without much thought. An autopsy proved that Mollie had been struck several times, with most of the wounds being in her upper body. Forensics said the time of death was the same as the night she went missing, which ruled out being locked up for a long time or being abused. DNA found on the victim's clothes and in the suspect's car were among the biological clues that helped lead the investigation. Investigators were interested in the fact that there were no signs of a struggle or fight on the victim's body at the scene. This suggests that the event happened quickly, leaving the victim with no time to fight back or call for help. The first signs about this terrible tragedy came from how cold the field was and what kind of things were found there. Evidence from the crime scene and the haunting memory of a life cut short so quickly, and Croy were both left behind. When police found Mollie Tibbetts' body, they moved into a very important part of their case. After more than a month of looking without success, the first clue was finally found. It did, however, bring up an important question. Who could have done this? From the start, police talked to everyone who had been near the places where Mollie often jogged. A few miles' worth of security cameras from homes and businesses were gathered and looked at. A black Chevrolet Malibu was seen moving slowly along the side of the road near the time Mollie went missing on a video that was not very clear, but was still useful. People were looking at the car a lot. The license plate and registration information helped the cops quickly figure out who owned the car: American Christian Bahena Rivera, who worked on a nearby farm. He was quiet, hadn't done anything wrong, and hadn't caused anyone to suspect anything before. In the eyes of the police, Rivera was a strange person because he seemed normal. Rivera seemed relaxed when he was first asked to answer questions. He said he had nothing to do with Mollie going missing. But when he saw a video of his car showing up near the victim, he started to doubt himself. Detectives saw gaps in his story from time to time and place to place, none of which made sense. The questioning went on for hours. At first, Rivera denied having anything to do with it, but as time went on, the messy details of his story became clearer. Investigators were patient and skilled as they used psychological tricks to show Rivera that telling lies would only get him into more trouble. When Rivera said he had seen Mollie and followed her while she was jogging, the case took a big turn for the better. He said Mollie had told him to leave and said she would call the cops if he didn't. He got scared, and Rivera said he couldn't remember what happened next. He only knew that he had hidden the girl's body in a cornfield after taking her body in his car. This was a psychological turn that no one saw coming. From an unknown man, Rivera became the main suspect all of a sudden. The cops knew, though, that his confession alone would not be enough to put him in jail. To make their case stronger, they needed real proof. Police looked through Rivera's car and found a small spot of blood on the back seat. DNA testing proved that it was Mollie Tibbetts' blood. This was the most important link between the suspect's statement and the scientific proof that couldn't be argued with. Other traces that fit the scene also helped fill in the blanks about the case. On August 21, 2018, Christian Bahena Rivera was caught and charged with murder in the first degree. His face was calm, but he didn't look sure of himself as he was led away. When the police told the press about it, the event quickly became a national story. We wanted to pass along some information to you as well as the community and the nation as a whole. Behind me, I have representatives from the Iowa Department of Public Safety, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Powys County Sheriff's Office. What I'd like to do first is read a brief statement to you, and then after that, I'll be happy to take as many questions as I can. A first-degree murder charge was filed today in connection with the disappearance of Mollie Tibbetts, who was last seen jogging in Brooklyn, Iowa on July 18, 2018. A complaint and affidavit names Christian Bahena Rivera, a 24 who resides in rural Powys County, and he has been charged with murder in the first degree. Dozens of law enforcement officials from local, state, and federal agencies were involved in the investigation after the disappearance of Mollie Tibbetts. A body was discovered early this morning in a farm field southeast of Brooklyn, Iowa. The identity has not been confirmed. However, we believe it to be the body of Mollie Tibbetts. A complaint and affidavit which will be provided to you will provide the details and of allegations against Mr. Rivera. Charges were filed in the Powys County District Court. The case will be prosecuted by the Iowa Attorney General's Area Prosecution Division, and first-degree murder carries a penalty of life without the possibility of parole. After the suspect was arrested and important evidence was found, the official legal process began. This is a step that must be taken before the case goes to trial. The court was given a full file that included clear arguments, thorough statements, surveillance video, DNA results, and information about where the body of the victim was found. Investigators, lawyers, and forensic experts all worked together to make sure there were no holes in the file. Not only was physical proof used in the investigation, but the suspect and the police also fought with their minds for a long time. They didn't let their feelings get in the way. They kept a clear head so that they could slowly lead the suspect to find holes. The Mollie Tibbetts case is not only about getting justice for a young girl, but it's also about how determined, methodical, and skilled people who work in criminal investigations are. No matter how small, every detail is carefully thought out. After many days of pain and question, the truth has finally come out because of how careful they were. Christian B. Rivera was put on trial in the Powys County Courthouse in May 2021, almost 3 years after Mollie Tibbetts was killed. This is one of the most well-known cases in Iowa, and people all over the United States are paying close attention to it. People have used the name Mollie Tibbetts to talk about a personal tragedy and to have deep conversations about many social problems. It was full in the hall. Everyone was looking at the defendant, a guy who looked calm and didn't show much emotion. Mollie's family was on the other side. They had been in pain for almost 3 years while they waited for the final word. During the trial, the prosecutors showed a lot of proof, such as surveillance video, DNA found on the suspect's car, earlier confessions, and even footprints from the scene of the crime. They said that Christian Bahena Rivera planned to follow Mollie, attack her, and kill her. Everything that was shown fit together, making a picture that was hard to ignore. For their part, the defense said that Rivera had been forced to confess and that other options had not been fully looked into. They even brought up the idea that other people were involved and Rivera was just being used as a scapegoat. But this argument was quickly shown to be false when all the pieces were put together: the first witness statements, the physical evidence, and the scene. What shocked everyone the most was when Mollie's family spoke out. It was hard for them to speak, but they did. They talked about their own loss and the pointless killing of people. The mood in the courtroom was sad, and many people couldn't hold back their tears. The jury finally came to a decision after days of hearing and only a few hours of thought. And my judgment relative to sentence is based on that which provide maximum opportunity for your rehabilitation. Same time community from further offenses by you and others. Mr. Behind Rivera, you and you alone forever change the lives of those who love Mollie Tibbetts. And for that, you and you alone will receive the following sentence. It is the order and judgment of this court acting pursuant to the provisions of Section 902 of the Code of Iowa that the defendant be he is hereby committed to the custody of Iowa Department of Correction for a lifetime sentence with no eligibility for parole. Christian Bahena Rivera was found guilty of killing someone in the first degree. The verdict of life in jail without the chance of parole was given, ending a long legal process that caused a lot of debate outside of court. The response from the people was huge. A lot of people were glad that justice had been done, but others were very angry about immigrants and how fair the trial was. Even though Mollie's family was very sad, they asked people to remember her as a happy person instead of forever linking her name to a political scandal. Mollie Tibbetts' death left her family, friends, and the small town where she lived with a hole that can't be filled. A young girl with big dreams and a bright future was taken away by an unexpected tragedy. The pain didn't just stay with the people who loved Mollie. It spread to everyone as a painful reminder of how short life is. For many people, this case is not only about a chance crime, but also about how to be more careful and safe in everyday life. In a world that is getting more complicated, everyone needs to learn how to protect themselves and be aware of even the smallest signs of something being wrong. At the same time, it shows how important the law is for protecting basic human rights and bringing the truth to light. The case also brings up important questions about how people react to tragedies in general. Are we too quick to label people based on where they come from, their country, or their political views? Or is it more important to feel sorry for the victims, the innocent people whose lives were taken, and try to stop tragedies like this from happening again? Why? Because accidents sometimes start with small things that people don't pay attention to. The main thing you should learn from this story is, what do you think? More importantly, what would you do if you or someone you care about faced these kinds of dangers one day? Thank you for watching. If this case moved you, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Stay safe, stay aware, and remember, justice matters. See you in the next one.